Welcome to Stemless Faceoff Podcast. We're here with Johnny Parson, and I wanted to say thank you for coming to my podcast. He also has a podcast.
Yeah.
And which will show some clips, which is really, really nice. He's had some of our friends and previous guests there as well. So, Johnny, tell me a little bit background about you. So, where do you grow up, and how did you get here?
Here? Oh, I'm from here.
No, like here in life.
Oh, here in life. Oh, okay. Well, I'm from this area. I was actually born in downtown Stewart.
No way.
The orthodontist office there used to be like a natural woman's clinic. That's where my mom had me.
That's interesting. It's very rare to find somebody that is
Actually
from here and grew up here. So.
I say that all the time. And grew up in Fort Pierce on Midway Road. So true Florida boy. I've never seen snow to this day. The only snow I've seen is what you scrape off the walls in the freezer. And
the popcorn ceiling.
Yeah, and I'm okay with it. I've been out of the state of Florida. Just at times when it wasn't snowing, but grew up, just a normal average life like anybody else. I never had any issues. I was a second round of kids. My mom and dad had my older brother and older sister. There were 15 and 16 years difference between us, and my dad is a Vietnam vet, Marine, and he hurt his back the year I was born. So, he ended up being disabled, 100% disabled, staying home. My mom became the breadwinner, so my dad pretty much raised me. So, and 5 years after me and my little brother were called the Whoops children. Like, whoops, here's Johnny. So, and then Ben came 5 years later. Ben's got Down syndrome, and he's living the dream still right there in the house we grew up in. So I grew up, obviously, kind of like an only child. Most of the attention went to him, and so I had to do pretty much whatever I wanted. And I was the second round of kids, so they were like, "Yeah, go ahead.
He's fine.
Yeah, whatever." And my parents were doing a little better then, so I guess you could say, I wouldn't say I was spoiled, but I definitely got to do a lot of the things I wanted to do. I played sports growing up, and I think that was. I loved it. That was like the beginning for me, for as far as like my personality and my character, was playing sports and having that team atmosphere from a young age, and being able to work together with people to accomplish a task and win. I always was on winning teams. I don't know how or why it worked out that way, but we were always like winning championships. I was always in all-stars, and just the way that it was, and having that independence, I think, is why I think I was different than like my brothers and sisters, because I feel like that I had to go get what I wanted if I wanted it, and even whenever I got older, I'd always ask Mom, like, "Mom, can you help me out with like co-sign on this car?" She did a couple times, but like a lot of the time she said no. Whereas like my brother, he would get whatever he wanted, and maybe he was her favorite or something, I don't know. And Ben, he had to get what he needed because he was, special needs. So, but I think that's why I became like such a go-getter and so hungry for anything that I wanted. Like I would just go after it and go get it and set a goal. And so my family used drugs growing up. So they smoked pot growing up, not drugs. It's pretty much legal nowadays. But everybody in my family did. So I watched that growing up, and I thought it was normal. Some families are alcoholics, some families don't do anything, or they can have a glass of wine at dinner and they're okay. But my family was smoking weed. And so from a young age, I was curious about it, and kind of was like the turning point or the door opening for me for future drug use. So 11 years old, I started smoking pot, and I was still playing sports at the time. So it wasn't like a everyday thing at that point, but I had done it a couple of times. 15, 16, still like playing sports, but starting to hang out with my friends more and roam the streets and ride my bike around and just try to get into mischief and stuff. And it just kind of transitioned from there through high school to I hung out with everybody. I was football team, wrestling team, played baseball, played football, played street basketball. Never played organized basketball. I played basketball at nights, and I hung out with the kids that were smoking cigarettes in the bathroom, and I was selling nick bags out of my shoe of weed in the bathroom at school. So I hung out with everybody. I knew everybody, and you know, obviously we win a football game, or you know, and it's like the party afterwards. And so for me, like, I was the guy, even in high school, that everybody was like done drinking and wanted to go to Denny's, and I'm like, I'm not done yet. Like, let's keep going. I want to, you know, like, drink more, party more. I had crossed the line at that point in my life where I just think I was different. I don't know. I wanted to keep hanging out, and so I did. And slowly, the last couple of years of high school, 11th grade is really where it started. You know, I dabbled in other drugs, experimented with cocaine, and definitely drinking a lot more. And I ended up dropping out of high school at the end of my 11th grade year, and I went to work and started selling drugs, you know, on the side out of my mom's house. And that was the life I chose at that point. And I thought I was successful. You know, I'd make a few $100s a week, and at someone who's 17 years, I got my GED, I'll say that. My mom told me, if you do anything in life, at least get your high school diploma. So I did that 2 weeks after I dropped out, and decided to go live the life of crime and trouble, and which obviously led to me getting into trouble. And what never was arrested, or I got arrested, but it was, you know, it was like probation, and never went to jail. But I always got lucky for some reason growing up. Like, I'll never forget, I had this truck, brand new Dodge, wasn't brand new, but it was new to me, Dodge truck, and I was getting drunk with my friends, and I was blackout drunk. I left, crashed this truck, tore the whole rear end out of it, and I don't remember it because I was so drunk. And I guess I told the people that a raccoon ran out in front of me, and they took me to jail because I didn't have a license at the time. I didn't get a DUI, but I was blackout drunk. I don't remember anything. I remember my mom picking me up because I was released because I was underage, but I didn't get a DUI or anything.
Were you like 16, 17?
It was 17 years old, yeah.
Just a little kid.
And but I was always like, I look back at my life and I see that like God spared me from being like a felon, or He spared me from certain things, like friends they're like, oh, we're going to this party at this hotel. Everybody went over there, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to go. And then all of them get arrested. And I'm like, the one night that I decide not to hang out with them, you know, I don't get in trouble. So He kind of was like definitely guiding me from, as I look back on my life, like God definitely had a hand in every part of my life. But I wasn't Christian or anything growing up, so I wasn't aware of that at the time. It led to me pretty much hitting bottom around 2021. I was just at my rock bottom, had spent a bunch of money on drugs. I was in a room in a house that I was living in St. Cloud, and I had spent like thousands of dollars over a short period of time, and was on my last little bit of drugs. And I remember like truly getting down on my knees and praying, and I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to live that way anymore, and I was in tears. And that was the first time I felt the presence in my whole life, and that, I believe, was the first experience I had with God. And you know, I ended up going to bed that night, and I woke up the next morning, and my dad lived 2 hours away, but he showed up there that morning and was like, he was at my house in my room standing next to my bed, and he's like, Johnny, you want to go home? And I was like, yeah, you know. So I left everything, left St. Cloud, and came back to Fort Pierce, and I don't even think I knew what detox was at the time, but I was coming off of, like, you know, opiates, benzos, alcohol, and like I remember just sleeping on my parents' couch for 2 days, like just felt super tired, but I know I was detoxing. Looking back on it, I didn't know. And I went to Narcotics Anonymous meeting with my dad. Had a couple of years clean and sober at that time too, because he stopped smoking pot. And I went to a meeting with him, and I stayed clean for 6 years. 21 to 28, I was clean from, I call it clean because I was in Narcotics Anonymous. I worked the 12 steps. Took a bunch of guys through the steps. You know, some of them are still clean today. And I developed a relationship with my father during that time that was unlike any of my brothers and sisters, because we got down and dirty and deep with each other, and we, you know, just not the surface relationship that most people have with their parents. And he's my best friend. You know, we did everything together. First year that I stayed clean, we went to a meeting every single day together. We used to bring a jail ministry in the Rock Road together. We'd go every Tuesday night and go in there, and I mean, it was probably the best years of my life with my dad. And I met my son's mother in recovery, and we had my son at 21 years. I was 21 years old. Braden will be 15 next month. And 28, her and she started using again. I started using again, and that was, for me, that was where I had hit the lowest bottom I'd ever hit. I started using drugs I said I'd never use. I did everything you could possibly think of under the sun. And, during my time of being clean, I became a firefighter paramedic. I had my own business, I had a lawn business, and was really just doing good. We had, I had everything you could think of. The 4-bedroom house, the $70,000 truck, my own business, the picture perfect life that you could think that, you would see on TV and with the white picket fence and all that. But something was still missing. Like, I had this void that was in me. I would come home on Fridays and like my bank account had money in it. I had everything that I wanted or that I thought that I wanted, but I still had this like spiritual void inside of me. I didn't know it then, but I know that was, I was missing God. And that's why I think I turned back to using, because it wasn't like I just walked into a store one day after having almost 6 years clean, and looked at the beer cabinet and took a beer out of it and just started drinking again. And like, it slowly took me to a point of months later where I'm looking for cocaine again, and it's next thing you know,
started the vicious cycle again.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I know me. Some people are good. I tell people I'm allergic to alcohol, because I break out in handcuffs. I go to, you're like, why don't you have a beer? I'm like, well, you don't got enough beer over there for me. And I'd probably be good, you know what I mean? Like, if I did it today or whatever, but the way that my story plays through every single time I go back to that lifestyle is that I'll eventually, be off the deep end again. And I don't want to be there anymore. So I drug across the bottom for about 3 years. I had overdosed multiple times from 28 to 30 years old, 26 to 30 years old, so about 4 years, and in and out of jail multiple times. And I ended up losing custody of my son. While I was in jail, they served me papers. He was adopted by his grandma, and like I said, that for me, I just felt like I was in a hole. I just was so deep into this hole. I lost my career as a firefighter. I'd sold all my tools and stuff for drugs with my lawn business, and I'd tell people I lost it, but I didn't lose anything. I knew where it went. I gave it all away. Lost the house, and sleeping on my mom's couch. My dad had passed away 9 years ago. He passed away, and that was a big reason of me wanting to continue to use, because he was like my go-to guy when I was going through stuff. And he actually passed away on my birthday. So it's every year my birthday, is like, especially then, was like, oh, another reason to use, not to celebrate a year of life. So that time in jail, the last time I actually went to jail, was whenever I found God. And like I said, I was raised a baptized Catholic, I never went to church or anything like that. And so I tell people, and they think I'm crazy to this day, that like, as I'm sitting in Rock Road, there was a group of guys that came in from different churches around the Treasure Coast, Catholic churches, different churches, and would come in and share a message with us. And I felt freer in there than I did when I was outside of the jail.